Hey, what's up, guys? How you guys doing? Hope you're doing well this afternoon. Today is gonna be an interesting episode. It's been a hot minute since we've done kind of compilation reviews. Usually, I'll just do one standard game review, make it into a franchise later. Like, for example, I was starting to review the Castlevania games. They performed like shit, but I enjoyed them quite a lot. But they're usually separate game reviews. But today I felt like doing something different. We're going to do kind of a mini review compilation, like I said earlier, and we're going to be talking about ninja games. Yeah, like ninjas, they're like in the shadows and like super stealth, and they'll like throw ninja stars at you or like hit you from behind with a sword. Or that's kind of what they'll lead you to believe, maybe in like a movie or something. In video games, it's a little bit different. Ninjas in the gaming world are all balls to the wall, run in, no stealth, no sneaking, just go up and hit stuff with your sword, just go completely wild, taking out armies of enemies by themselves. I'm gonna be honest there, that's kind of cool, how they just run in, a pussy boy sits in the shadows and does a sucker punch, but our boy, like, Ryu Hayabusa, for example, he doesn't back out, he'll run in and do that fucking Azuna drop shit on you. And over here, like, Joe Musashi, I mean, he's in bright white. I mean, he's not even in, like, Russia, where you got, like, those brutal winters and he can just kind of fall in the snow and do, like, a snow angel to blend in away from the enemies. No, he's in the middle of Japan, dressed up in white. In pitch black. I mean, it's, like, the exact opposite of what you'd want to wear during that. And by the way, I wasn't joking about his name. That's real. The guy's name is Joe. Don't underestimate my boy Joe, He might be a manager at Staples by day, but at night he's coming out swinging, throwing his kunai or whatever. But enough of my rambling. Ninja games are cool in the long run. They're like so many awesome ninja games, and today we're going to talk about quite a few of them. Why don't we get the most obvious franchise out of the way? Just right off the bat, Ninja Gaiden is the most classic ninja franchise, especially the original Nintendo Entertainment System trilogy. The first game is probably the most famous. For example, like, they introduced like these cool cutscenes, with like characters jumping around, and the music was just so hype. I mean, just listen to this. Goddamn, if that doesn't make you feel badass, what does? Another thing, I guess, infamous about the original Ninja Gaiden is definitely its difficulty. It gets really hard at the end, so be prepared for a challenge. Especially the final boss. I can't tell you how many hours it took me to finally get that fight down. It doesn't help that when you die, they put you back at the very beginning of the level, and this is one long-ass level, too. By the time you make it back to the boss fight, you're already rusty at it. You don't know what the fuck to do afterwards. It kind of gets annoying at the end. That's kind of my only knock on the original Ninja Gaiden. It's a little bit of a difficulty spike right at the very end of the game, but otherwise it's very fun, it's very fast-paced, and I'm sure a lot of people covered it more in depth, but definitely check this one out. The second game was very similar, but they added some cool new things, Of course, the graphics were maybe a little better, like the backgrounds looking a little bit cooler, like you get this like nighttime city on the first level here, and there's a train. It's like weather effects, which actually affect the gameplay, as they'll blow you side to side, and you gotta wait. I actually don't really like this part that much. In fact, I think most parts of Ninja Gaiden 2 are just kind of more, annoying than the first one. Like, you got this ice level later on, and you're just slipping and sliding all over the place. It can be kind of frustrating. And I swear, your sword hitbox is smaller. Like, things that would have reached in the first Ninja Gaiden are not reaching here, and it feels like off a little bit on the sword. One thing that definitely was very cool, a very nice addition in the second game, was the little ninja clones that you can have. They follow your exact move, And during boss fights, you can use it very strategically, or even during a level if you want to hit enemies from behind, or just stack on some extra damage. It was definitely a cool idea. Anyway, Ninja Gaiden 2, it's pretty good. It's not as good as the first one, but not a bad sequel, definitely worth your time, and maybe a little bit easier than the first one too, if only because they toned down the final level a little bit. And the final game in the trilogy is Ninja Gaiden 3. This one's probably my favorite of them all. Ryu is a little bit floatier in this one. I feel it just works better. They also allow you to like climb on certain ceilings and stuff. They added new sub-weapons. Ryu can have an extended sword, which definitely is really cool and fixes any hitbox issues I had with the second game. The enemies are a little bit less obnoxious in terms of the placement. You'll be swarmed significantly less than the first two games, but in return, enemies do a lot more damage. And this game can be kind of trial and error sometimes in general. Once you learn to work through it, it is a very fun game. And my god, it has me hooked sometimes. I replay it so often. The graphics and music are of course better than ever. I mean, this is the final game in the trilogy. If I had to knock it on one thing, and this is pretty big, it's definitely the limited continues. The first two games had unlimited continues, and that was so good. Such a quality of life feature that definitely is lacking here. On a first playthrough of Ninja Gaiden 3, having to start from the beginning can be kind of frustrating. I can see why people might lose their patience, but play through it, give it some time, and I swear you'll enjoy it. If you actually practice it and try and get good, it just gets so crazy smooth, and the gameplay just clicks, at least for me. Now, the Ninja Gaiden series didn't stop after the original Nintendo games. They continued into the 6th generation with Ninja Gaiden, or as I like to call it, Ninja Gaiden Black, for the original Xbox. I've mentioned this game a little bit before, but it is my favorite Xbox game. I gotta cover it a little bit again. Instead of doing another action platformer, they instead took it into kind of a hack and slash kind of game where you run up to enemies, and you just combo the fuck out of them, turn them into shreds, little chicken nugget pieces, fry them up at McDonald's, and it's insane. You do like some crazy combos, fling them up into the air, do the classic Izuna drop, which is just one of the most satisfying moves in history. It's amazing. The action is just so well done in this game. Everything feels so polished. And it looks absolutely great for an original Xbox game too. Maybe it looks a little bit washed out in terms of the colors sometimes, but I think that was kind of typical for the era, but just look at this, running in widescreen on the Xbox. What a powerhouse the Xbox was. Anyway, I can't give this game enough praise. It's great. It's one of the best Ninja Gaiden games, probably my second favorite in the series. The action is just so tight, it's very polished, and it just looks and sounds great. Overall, it has my glowing endorsement. Don't skip out. It's good. We'll stop the Ninja Gaiden games here at Ninja Gaiden 2. Wait, hold up. No, there's a second Ninja Gaiden 2. So there's Ninja Gaiden 2 for the NES, and then there's also Ninja Gaiden 2 for the Xbox 360. This is a sequel to the original Ninja Gaiden Black. And this is basically the same game, same formula, except turned up to 1,000. This game is pure chaos, and they know it. They enjoy the chaos. It's like the fucking Joker of video games. It's insane. The first room, the first time you can actually play the game, you are swarmed by enemies. They don't give you any breathing room. Like, compare it to the first Ninja Gaiden Black, where you kind of have to, like, walk around a little forest, and then you might find like a couple enemies and it just ramps up from there. No, not this game. I mean, for fuck's sake, I think we need Pee Wee Herman and the goddamn spotlight on him to explain just how crazy Ninja Gaiden 2 is.
This is crack. Rock cocaine.
Well said, my man. Did a good job there. Yeah, that sums up Ninja Gaiden 2. It's just the first game, and it just turned up to 1,000, but it's still pretty fun. I'd recommend trying it out. I don't think it's as good as the first one, but if you like your game turned up to 1,000, this is worth trying out. Let's take a break and move on to a slightly more obscure ninja game. That's on the TurboGrafx 16. Yeah, you can already tell why nobody talks about this one. It's on a system nobody fucking played. But my god, you guys are missing out, because this game is wonderful. Like, this blew me away. Like, it's kind of like that arcadey style, where it's like short, and you just kind of run through it real quick, and it's not super hard. You have unlimited continues, so it's nice for a relaxing playthrough. And you just like plow your way through all sorts of bad guys and different locations and scenery. And you have like tons of weapons that you can grab and use. And you can upgrade those weapons. So there's a little bit of strategy there. Like, what weapon do I want to upgrade? Like, you got like ninja stars and like a little hook type thing. It's really cool. The bombs are my favorite because they do so much damage. They'll just wipe out any boss, no problem. The end of the game kind of sucks though, because you're like falling down, and there's like ninjas like jumping up at you, and it's so weird. And you have to find like a specific safe spot. It's absolute trial and error bullshit. And then when you actually make it to the final boss, he's so easy. What a weird ending. Not good, but definitely weird. But aside from that little bad spot there, this is a great game. It's so much fun to play. It's so short too. It's like, the replay value is one of the highest I can possibly think of on the system, or any game really I've covered on this channel. Definitely worth a playthrough, this one. Let's turn our attention over to the handheld scene. Specifically a game made by Konami for the Game Boy Advance. This is called Ninja 5-0, or I guess in this case Ninja Cop, which sounds way cooler to me. This game kind of separates itself a little bit from all the other Ninja games by giving it more of an exploration type of deal, where you walk around and rescue hostages, you find keys, and then you unlock doors. You got like a grappling hook that you can swing around with, which is kind of cool. I also found it kind of weird how this guy like walks sideways almost. What kind of walking is this? Who walks like this? Is that a real thing? It looks like a jackass. One real complaint, no nitpick or anything like that. One complaint I do have is the music. They use the same music track like a lot in this game, and you know, it's not a bad track. It's just the whole game. I mean, look at like Ninja Gaiden. It had so many tracks, and even the games we're going to talk about later, you know, Ninja Spirit, you know, had different music. Kind of lame. Not a big deal though, but definitely wanted to bring that up. Otherwise, it's pretty fun. I don't have a ton of experience playing it. I played it a little bit, a few hours, and I did like it, but not one of my personal favorites. Anyway, let's finish this video off with one of the most iconic ninjas of all time. We're bringing it back to Joe. I know, let's just drop it. I know his name is fucking Joe. Our favorite Staples manager, Joe. Let's bring it back to him. Now today we're going to be specifically looking at the two Sega Genesis games. There was also Shadow Dancer 2, but I'm not going to cover that right now. I might save that for a separate review. We're going to be looking at the two big ones, the Revenge of Shinobi and Shinobi 3. Now, the Revenge of Shinobi starts out kind of dark, honestly. Your master gets killed by this big mob organization called Zed, I think. Kind of a weird sounding name. Almost sounds like maybe a clown you'd see at the fair or something. But no, they're a bunch of mobsters, and they killed your master, those bastards, and they took your girlfriend. Are you gonna accept that? No. So you set out to kill everyone in your beautiful white suit. I'm gonna be real with you, this guy looks like a walking Supreme logo, not really much of a ninja, but he definitely acts like a ninja. I mean, you get to throw kunai all over the place, and like, get like a little block, you can kick and like slash and stuff. You get to power up your kunai, which does a lot of damage too. You also got a bunch of magic you can use, like this electricity shield, which will take a few hits for you without taking damage, and also prevents knockback. You'll want to save it for when you really need it though, because you, for the most part, only get one magic use per level, or life. With all this said, this game is really fun. I mean, with just all the mechanics I explained, it was setting up for a great game. And it is. The levels are designed really well for the most part. The bosses are interesting and engaging. You got like these turrets with like a brain on it, and like this big guy with a sword, and you have to hit him in the head. And in the original version of this game, you had like bootleg versions of Rambo, and you had like Spider-Man and Batman, which is super crazy. This boss fight with Spider-Man is one of my favorites. Anyway, the final game we're going to look at is its sequel, Shinobi 3: Return of the Ninja Master. On top of the moves you could already do in Revenge of Shinobi, now you can wall jump, you can cling on to certain ceilings, kind of like Ninja Gaiden 3, you know. You can also run now by double tapping the D-pad, which allows you to transition into a nice running slash. And while you could block in the Revenge of Shinobi if you had powered up kunai, in this game, you can block by just holding the attack button, which is very nice for certain instances, like this little turret fuck over here. Little robot, little bitch, yeah, blocking all those projectiles. With all these new game mechanics, it's no doubt that this game is better than its predecessor. The music is better, graphics are better, the level design is better, especially later on in the game, where they don't rely as much on cheap shots and instead real platforming challenges, especially at the very end, where you have to wall jump all over the place, like around these electricity fields and shit, have to not fall in the pits. I mean, this game just excels in every department. They didn't fuck up much at all with this game. In fact, I can't even think of any real complaints. Really, this game is just near perfect. I love this game. It's one of my favorite games of all time. Yes, just ever made. It's so fun. Just playing this for the review, it's like you can't even like put it down. If you even remotely like the Sega Genesis or even action platformers, you gotta play this right now. And that's the perfect note to go out on. One of the best games ever made, simply. Anyway, ninjas, they're cool. Ninja games, they're pretty badass. Like, really, there are some real awesome ones. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's a pretty special one. We reviewed quite a lot of games today. Definitely a fun episode to make, talking about some of my favorite games on their respective systems. I mean, ninja games, how are they just this cool? It's crazy to me. Definitely make sure to check them out. Ninja 5.0, get a repro for that one. It's fucking expensive. Do not buy an original cart. Get a reproduction, emulate it, whatever you want to do. But anyway, I'll see you guys next video. Bye.